guess I lied on my last song, but I'm doing another one. Welcome to year 2. You ready, Shax?
Let's do this.
Now it's done on Phobos, leave that year 1 gear behind. Adios the Casa de Lobos, time for the Guardians to shine. If you throwing shade, get stepping, this the new faction we reppin'. Crucible Radio killing it, we got the hype and show everyone feeling it. But you didn't need me to tell you that?
You're crushing.
Got a 40 on my hand, no more. Got that main lock and 2 vaults. If you wanna roll, no salt. Man, I still don't need no vault. Poppin' blueberries, always eating healthy. Yeah, I see you drop that smoke. Yeah, you think you're stealthy. Nah, staying on my grind. Save that for the highlight rewind. I'm thinking on another level, electrostatic mind. Yeah, I don't want anyone telling me using a pulse rifle isn't a felony. I got the enemy dying in front of me. Double down, triple down, why you still counting these? Back up in the flesh with no light beyond nemesis. Living the past if you still got supremacy. No scope of days if you're getting too close to me. I don't need aim assist, damn, but you're still OP. Don't be sleeping on me unless you got the simulant. With my fire team, cause all we ever do is win. We'll break your wrist and get the mercy rule if you don't quit. There's always raids if you don't think that you can handle it. Shout out to her benevolence. R.I.P. Mida. New year, new things. Let's go. Call me Lord Shax, cause I am the Crucible. Time to fight back with what you heard on the radio. Swaying birds and bones, yeah, we copping the throne. Oryx watching, we ignoring. Duncan sparks like T-Row. Yeah, the new metagame's here. It's a brand new frontier. Haters checking out my new shader and my 1,000-yard stare. Crucible Radio got the exclusives. 618. If I see that hopscotch child's play, I'm gonna scream. Strength of the wolf, now they dropping like crazy. Shax's all hype like this is amazing. Skating around with the hammer of the gods. Take over the planet like I'm General Zod. Auto rifles everywhere, need some crowd control. Pull the vex and time travel to a year ago. I don't need a mitre, just give me a green. Landfall coming, I'm a damn machine. Yo. Too many new weapons in this game. Can't pronounce any of the damn names. All I know is the sound it makes when I melt in your face. Let's go! Welcome to the Crucible. Yeah, we got that space magic. You already know the words. Let's turn up and make some havoc. Crucible Radio got that new kind of space magic. There's a rising storm. Better make sure that you're ready to grab it.
Hey, Bones.
What's up, Swain?
Do you want to do a quest or something?
Nah. Hey, Swain. How you doing over there?
I'm doing alright. How you doing, birds?
You know I'm great. I'm great as always. Bones, how are you?
I'm good. I'm like kind of bored. I don't know what to do this week. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's nothing going on.
Right?
Unless I'm forgetting something that happened this week.
Why are we still, like, even playing Destiny? I need to find a new hobby or something. It's getting old.
Yeah, hashtag dead game.
Right? Or more like hashtag dead ghost.
Nice.
Not nice. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you know what that reminds me of? The Taken King came out this week.
Oh, that's what it was.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's what it was.
I kind of remember staying up for 18 hours, but it's kind of
It was really all a blur.
I kind of remember, like, taking work off and sitting around in sweatpants all day playing video games with you guys. That actually seems pretty familiar.
That did happen.
We did do that.
The grind is real, right? Like, it's difficult just to pull ourselves away long enough to record this podcast because
We're just kind of like antsy here. We're recording and we're like,
Let's get this done. Let's go play.
yeah, gotta get that light up before the raid. I gotta say, credit to Bungie. They made me want to play Strikes again.
They made me want to do everything always all the time.
Yeah, right? I literally played nothing but Crucible for the last 2 months of House of Wolves. And here we are. I'm grinding out Strikes like I'm looking for a hopscotch. It's ridiculous.
Speaking of Crucible, you're listening to Crucible Radio,
Crucible
the podcast
Radio.
for all things Destiny PvP. You're listening to us on iTunes or YouTube through PlanetDestiny, our wonderful partners who put us up every week. They're awesome. Or maybe you found our RSS feed, or maybe you just you're in some deep web territory trying to do illegal things on the internet and you accidentally clicked a link and now you're here. But either way, you're listening to Birds, Bones, and Swain. I can't even say my own name, and we love talking about PvP, but it's tough this week because there's so much to do.
we're going to talk about PvP this week, but coming up, we've been teasing it for a while. We're going to be doing our PvEP episode, where bonus episode, you can only get it on iTunes, on Podcast Addict, on Android, on the RSS feed, any of the podcast apps. It's going to be an exclusive for that, and we are going to go deep into the PvE side of this game, the strikes, the story, the raid, all of it.
Bonus.
Bonus.
That's a podcast reference for you podcast fans.
Little inside podcast right there.
But yeah, we're super stoked to talk about all the quests and stories and, you know, how to get your light level up. That's the biggest thing everyone's doing this week.
We got some secrets for you. We're going to get you efficient. We're going to get you up to 290, and you're going to be punching with the best of them before long.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun talking about some Grimoire, talk about
calcified fragments.
Whatever those are.
Yeah, those things.
Yeah, because we've definitely played a decent amount of it this week, and we're itching to talk about it, but we're going to kind of just wait. We're going to let it simmer. Gonna play the raid, gonna get some more reading done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to absorb as much as possible about the game and, you know, get some good exotics to talk about. And like we said, we're taking on the raid blind. We're recording this the day before the raid, and we are just like ready to go. We are gonna hit it and probably get and die
1,000 times. 1,000 times.
Enough of that. If you want to hear it, stay tuned. Go ahead and subscribe to us on iTunes, and you'll hear it when it comes out. You'll show up right in your inbox. But let's get back to the Crucible, guys.
The Crucible.
Crucible Radio.
Okay, so there's tons and tons of new gear, obviously, and we're all grinding to get that gear. But once in a while, either you're doing that Crucible quest line or you just want to get some marks. You actually get some time for the Crucible. Have you guys found any new equipment or gear that you're just loving already?
You know, very early on, I signed up with New Monarchy for this expansion. It seemed like a fun thing to do. Why not? And very early on, I got a sniper rifle in a package. It's called the Antinomy 16. Antinomy 16. It's a sniper rifle. It feels like the what was the old Crucible sniper called?
Longbow?
A lot like a longbow. Kind of feels like a longbow. Looks a lot like it. It's all New Monarchied out, but it dropped with unflinching. It dropped with quick draw. It's got this guerrilla fighter perk on it, and it's got a good low zoom scope. And I got it up to 292 light. It just feels good. I was very happy to get a gun that very early in the game that was like, all right, this one's coming with me. Big favorite of mine. Bones, what do you like? I
could not believe myself after playing with this gun for a while yesterday. I got an Arminid. These names, man.
Yeah, they're
all right. I'm gonna try this. Arminius D.
That sounds good.
It is a Haka auto rifle, and I literally groaned when I got this. Birds was in the party. I was a low impact auto rifle, high rate of fire. Not my jam. I don't even really use auto rifles, but this thing drops with crowd control, perfect balance, and braced frame, which increases more balance. Plus, it takes away from the magazine size, which is now at 60. Comfortable 60. So this thing has like no kick at all. And with crowd control, I mean, you aim it into crowds as intended, and it will just melt on that second kill. And I got quite a few double kills in the Crucible, and I was just like, I was so shocked to even see that I enjoyed this gun.
Is happening
and
to our bones?
It's a perfect roll. I don't know if it's a great gun otherwise, but I'm very happy with the one I have.
You were using an auto rifle. That's amazing.
What has happened in Destiny? Memories of year one rapidly fading. Bones is using a high rate of fire auto rifle in the Crucible.
That's literally absurd.
Can't believe we got here.
Come a long way.
Swain, what about you? Anything cool?
I have two things. I would say that, like everyone else, I have the 1,000 yard stare drop for me in the quest line, and I'm obsessed. It is. I spent so much time using my Praetus and using the ambush scope on that, and kind of just like getting my headshots and loving the explosions from the Praetus. And then I switched to this with the new. Is it a new short gaze, or is this? It feels the same as a regular short gaze, but I'm getting the most ridiculous drag shots and just like flick shots, and it's blowing my mind. I've worn out my share button on my PS4 controller because I would just sit there and be like, I can't believe I just got that. All right, well, time to record. But I also had a exotic drop for me.
Hey,
one of the new ones, the immolation fists.
Oh, those Titan arms, right?
Yeah, it's got a bunch of like ammo lined down the sides. It's like it's all right visually, and it's all right. I don't think it's crazy good because it adds, I think it's explosive pyre, and that's in the same perk area as the homing hammers. So you get the tracking hammers as well as having people explode after you hit them with the hammer.
That sounds mean.
Yeah. I got my first Shaxx This Is Amazing this week. Well, today, actually.
Congratulations.
Simply because of that. Because they were all standing around the Rift control point, and I was just going crazy. Like I said before, Sunbreakers.
Yeah. Oh,
Sunbreakers.
Sunbreakers. You called it, man. Hey, we'll get to it.
Yeah. You'll have your time in the sun. Don't even worry.
So good.
But yeah, I mean, Birds, you said it. The change to the Crucible with 2.0, we sort of thought we knew what was happening with that test week that we had with 2.0 and all our old guns, but I feel like that has changed again. And it's kind of weird. I'm in this state of nervousness where I don't know what the best tool is to go in with, and I don't have that many tools. Of course, I can equip Thorn and a sniper if I really want to, but I'm trying to get a feel for it, and it really does seem like I have some serious work to do, and the meta is not apparent. I know shotguns are good, but there's so much happening.
You got killed by Thorn. I was like, don't you know that the Taken King is out? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
it was probably me who killed you with the Thorn. Still love it, baby.
It's useful, but like there's so many new options, and a lot of them are viable. So like, it's amazing to be able to use something like you said, like a high rate of fire auto rifle. I've been using a low impact pulse rifle, and that's been working too. And it's just
my favorite.
It's great.
I've seen a lot of complaints on the internet, people saying like, oh, Thorn is still good and shotguns are still sniping at ranges. And, I think we all recognize that those were the best things, that you could use in the Crucible in year one, at least near the end. But they haven't gotten worse. I mean, there have been some nerfs. Last Word doesn't have quite the range it did, slowed some things down. But they just made everything else better. Whereas before, like, you wouldn't be caught dead without Thorn and, the Her Benevolence and the Fell Winters and the Last Word, and that was it. You can still use those things if you want, but there's just so many other choices. I can't really say, well, you should use Thorn over a pulse rifle or over an auto rifle. The big dream we had was that there would just be a lot of room at the top. You could justify just about any option, or at least, every weapon type. And here we seem to be. I can't believe they did it.
On that note, I want to bring up the fact that in a couple weeks' time, we are going to have a very special guest who had a hand in a lot of this.
Yeah, he kind of did some stuff, right?
A couple episodes back, when we first got the notes from the sandbox for this new 2.0 balance, we went real in depth on it. There was a guy who actually wrote up those notes and sort of explained them all and was crucial in developing that sandbox. What was his name again?
Yeah.
Could we hype it anymore? Oh, right. His name is John Wisniewski.
Oh, he works at Bungie too, and he's going to come on and he's going to talk about this with us.
We are so excited to have him join on the show. We are going to pick his brain. We're going to ask him what the magic was that he got everything to sort of just balance just right. He's kept 20 different plates spinning here, him and his team, and we got some questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's blowing our minds that senior gameplay designer John Wisniewski is coming on the show. We are going to have him as a guest, and we are going to let you guys ask some questions. We have our own questions, and we're just going to figure out what goes into designing that kind of balanced arena, which I think it's fair to call it that now. So we are going to hold off on meta and balance at least a little bit for this episode and maybe the next coming one. But when John's here, we're really just going to go full force with that meta game. So that's going to be cool.
Yeah, feel free to hit us up on Twitter if you have a question in regards to the weapon balance and what you like about it, or what you would like to see, or what you think is weird. Shoot us up on Twitter. Well, hit us up on Twitter. And
shoot us up in the Crucible.
And shoot us up in the Crucible. At Crucible Radio.
But enough about that. Swain, I know you're champing at the bit. You want to talk about subclasses and how they're working in PvP? You want to start us out with some Sunbreaker?
Maybe just a little bit.
Just a little?
And by a little bit, I mean a lot of it.
Tell us about the Sunbreaker.
Well, let me paint you guys a picture. It's October. I start a Titan, and I jump in the Crucible for the first time, get destroyed. Why is my super so close range, and why is everybody able to kill me so quickly? Fast forward. It's this week.
That's quite a fast forward.
Yeah. I don't care about history.
Whoa.
Let's get to it. Sunbreakers. I jumped in the Crucible for the first time with it, not even fully leveled up, and got the hammer going and immediately got 5 in a row just from one super. And it felt really, really good to have a viable super in the Crucible. All of the perks really synergize well. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like how you had the Blade Dancer set up and you're just like, yep, that one. I'm going to use that one. I said it a couple weeks ago, the one that I thought would be good is the one that I'm using. It has the tracking hammers. It has the cauterize, so that when you fell someone with your flames, it starts to bring back your health, kind of like Red Death and kind of like Hungering Blade.
That's crazy.
If you hit someone from long range, it's a long range Hungering Blade. It's so good.
Well, so we know the hammer is crazy strong, but what are your thoughts about the grenades or, the passive perks or maybe the melee? Anything cool there?
I will say that it's kind of lackluster in all the other areas. I compare it to all the other grenades right now, and I was trying to find one, and I was like, there's not the grenade that I'm going to pick. And then I started looking at all the other classes, and I was thinking, like, since they nerfed arc bolts a little and firebolts as well a little, there's not like a go-to grenade anymore. They kind of like dulled them down a little bit. You can tell with all the new ones, they're all kind of like, there's no go-to one. It's kind of like how you feel, how you play. So I've been playing with the incendiary grenade. I've been trying to practice my like bounces and getting into crowds and, bouncing off walls, make sure I'm hitting people dead on. I like that one. And it works well with like the low rate of fire. Low impact pulse rifles because I can clean up kills after I hit them with a grenade. That's kind of the synergy I was going for with that. Mm-hmm. And then for the melee, it's kind of, I don't see a PvP standout. There's really nothing crazy about it. You can do the one that immediately resets your melee if you get a kill with it. That rarely happens in the Crucible. But I will say that if you do have the melee, the Scorch afterwards, when you hit someone, is pretty intense. It does the thorn tick, so it's at 7. It hits like 7, and it keeps ticking, and it'll probably tick off about at least a third of your health. So it's good, but like it almost always ends up with postmortems. Never really a straight out kill.
Right.
Like I said, it's pretty set in stone for me. I'm not really switching it around. I'm not really playing around with the sunspots too much.
Well, I actually kind of have a different experience with Stormcaller. As you listeners know, I'm the warlock in this group, and I'm actually switching quite a bit with all of my perks, which I kind of enjoy because, like Swain just said, I mean, you just fall into this is my build, and that's really convenient, but I'm enjoying the process of discovering that. I don't really know which one I like the most, but the Stormcaller I do like a lot. I think it doesn't have the shining dominance that hammer does, but it's got some fun perks. I mean, I'm really enjoying the super itself. I mean, it's just like PvE is one thing. It's hilarious to how many enemies you can kill. But with the Ionic Blink, which I just recently unlocked, you are this crazy flying thunderstorm and can zap all across the map, and that's really fun and really great to just, you know, throw people off. The ability with the two hands is so fun. I don't know if it's super great for PvP, but Landfall has to be the coolest looking thing in the world. That's where you throw a devastating shockwave straight down. And you know what? I think in stuff like Zone Control or maybe Standard Control, it could be pretty fun, you know, with people crowding around objectives. But I think you got to stick with Superconductor and combine that with other chaining perks, because basically Stormcaller, if you're using it right, you want to be hitting at least 2 enemies at all times with your abilities. And it does allow for some good synergy in that sense. And it's so satisfying to smack one person, then the unfortunate dude next to them gets zapped too. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I can attest that the extended range on the melee is amazing, because I've been killed by it quite a few times, and I was never angry about it. I was just like, wow. All right, cool.
Yeah, you see them going for the two-hand zap, and it's over. Can I just say, I never, ever want to go without triple jump again. That double jump is just degrading. I can't. I mean, it's usable, but I'm so glad when I finally unlocked that triple jump. So I've been living in Night Stalker, and I'm a big fan of it. You know, I think Hunter is probably one of the most interesting classes to play. You know, you've got the old reigning king Blade Dancer, which is taking a bit of a hit. You have Gunslinger, which I think is really better than ever. Mm-hmm. And Night Stalker somehow finds its own little niche. It finds its own little niche there.
I'm sorry, did you guys say Mitch? Were you asking about me?
No.
Okay,
no,
sorry.
No.
Who's Mitch?
It finds its own little area in the Hunter pantheon that is very, very cool, and it's very different from the others. I have to say, I love the stink bomb. You just throw it in people's faces. They're blinded. It does some damage. I've been sticking pretty much exclusively with the Envenomed perk, which does damage over time as they're in the cloud. You know, it's not going to get your sort of smartest opponents who are going to probably try and avoid it in the first place and then get out of there if they do get hit by it. But it is great for some damage, especially since you've immobilized them a bit. Although the Vanish in Smoke perk is very cool. You know, you have a way to provide invisibility to Titans and to Warlocks in a way that wasn't possible before. I haven't really figured out how to use it. I think you'd really need to coordinate well with the team for it. But there's some cool possibilities there.
These small, like, damage over time, like your fart cloud and and like the grenades that do damage over time are really fitting into this Crucible meta really well, because it's like the time to kill is a lot longer. Well, not a lot longer, but it's a decent amount longer. And any help you can get seems to be great. Like something from a grenade, something from, you know, the stink bombs and all that. It's fitting very well.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that damage over time on its own is not really enough to get a kill, but when you combine it with the other elements of the class, it's truly devastating. I mean, one of my favorite PV moves by far is when I've got my melee, my grenade, and my super charged up. It's to put the arrow down and snare as many people as I can, immediately hit them with the smoke to disorient them and do some damage, and then drop a vortex grenade in there to just deal damage over time. Even if you don't get every one of the kills, it's still just devastating. And you're generating a huge number of orbs for your team. I think this is probably one of the best ways to generate orbs with these new 3 subclasses. And if you're playing something like sixes, especially something like Control, the perk Bloodbound, which shares damage to all the tethered enemies, is the way to go. It really makes you can take on one individual who's tethered in there, and they're all going to feel it. Although I've got to say, I unlocked Quiver yesterday. That's the fire, the shadow shot 3 times, and I could see that having huge applications in something like Trials, where You don't necessarily need to pin them forever. You don't need to go for a ton of kills. You just need to take out 1 or 2 or 3 people very quick, and you've got some shots to do it.
So how do you feel about the actual super? Like when you're shooting it, does it feel like Golden Gun? How does it feel to you?
You know, it definitely threw me at first because I was kind of treating it like a Nova Bomb, where, you know, you kind of has some weight to it and you kind of have to arc it a little bit to go the distance. It's not quite as beeline as a Golden Gun, but that is definitely the best thing to compare it to. You pretty much point it where you want it to go and it goes there. It's definitely no Sunbreaker super, but it definitely has a lot of potential, especially when it comes to shutting down other supers, that I think works really well with the rest of the class. Of course, I have to mention Keen Scout in the Crucible is out of control. If you damage somebody, they get marked and you can see them behind walls. It was everything we loved about Thorn, but now, you know, you throw a grenade in a group and you're able to track every single person who's in there and follow up with a stink bomb. It's amazing. Shade Step, I'm not even going to say anything. We're going to sort of wait and see what develops with Shade Step. I think it's very early days, and in time, people are going to master it just like they mastered Blink, and they are going to do very frustrating things with it. I'm still getting the hang of it, and I think that's all I'm going to say about it. We'll see how that one develops.
So now we got people playing with stink bombs and sweaties, and the Crucible is just disgusting.
Yeah, a lot of cleanup to do in there.
Ugh.
Pay those janitors extra.
Well, we kind of touched on it a little bit, or at least we were hinting at it. But there has been some discussion online in the Crucible Playbook sub and otherwise about the Sunbreaker being pretty strong. And I think we have to admit that it is. It's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But we did want to touch a little bit about how this is so early in the game. We've all had the game for 3 days as of this recording, and there's a lot to be discovered. Would you guys agree?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I am going to let them in on a little secret, though.
Go on.
Yes.
I know one way that you can avoid the Sunbreaker really well. And it's...
I think it might be what I do when I see a Sunbreaker.
Just running?
Hold triangle? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I hope I spot you from a ways away, because I just turn and run in the other direction. You know, I've tried countering that super. You know, I'm playing Gunslinger, I pop my Golden Gun, I get off that shot, and I go for the next kill, and it's, oh no, he's still got enough health to work with, and here's a hammer coming at my face. Not even trying.
There's 2 ways. I'm gonna give away all the secrets. All the Sunbreakers are gonna hate me. There's 2 ways to kind of counter it that I'm finding after playing it so much. One is staying in the air as much as possible. If you can stay off the ground and kind of get behind them or get to the side, you don't want to be directly next to them, because any smart Titan will just throw it on the ground in front of themselves and get you. But as long as you're in the air, it is almost impossible to hit you out of the air with the hammer. You got to be really good with it to be able to hit someone as they're jumping through the air. Most of the times it leads to a missed hammer, and you were on the other side and you're behind me, and I'm already moving forward pretty fast because I'm skating. The other way is if you are far away, you're kind of lucky because it gets increasingly harder to hit targets as they're farther and farther away. It's got quite the learning curve to it, and being able to hit someone far away is tough. It's not like Nova Bomb where you know where the arc is going to go. This kind of has some curve to it. It gets much tougher, and unless you're going up against someone who knows what they're doing really well, there's a good chance if you're far away, you can get away or you can snipe them really well.
About 3 weeks ago, if I heard a Golden Gun pop, I would probably run to it and try to snipe them in the head, because we got used to the supers that we had and we understood how to counter them, and it became pretty fun to deny supers. But yeah, it's terrifying when a Sunbreaker is charging at you in the Crucible, because we don't know what to do. And the Sunbreaker is strong, like we've said, and you're going to die. It's just It's just the truth. But I also have to say I don't quite know what to do when a Stormcaller approaches me. Like, I know I have a little bit more distance to put in between me and that super, but I mean, I tried to kill one and I didn't do a great job. They're very agile. They're floating, which is a different vibe. I mean, all the new supers are scary in their own way, and we don't have like a, it's not like we're all sitting around going, I don't know what to do about Sunbreaker, but yeah, I snipe Stormcallers all the time. Like, no, all three are very effective at the time currently. So there's a lot to learn still.
I will say the Stormcaller is the only one I haven't sniped out of their super.
Yeah.
Because it's so, I don't know.
It's tricky.
It's the way the movement is. It's kind of throwing me off. It's kind of like the floating business. It's kind of
It's very, very liquid. Very tough to predict.
Oh, yeah.
There's one argument that I've heard that Sunbreaker is OP, and I don't buy it. It definitely has a super that can't be touched, but I'm willing to bet that Night Stalker can go head-to-head with Sunbreaker, no problem, and it doesn't have a super that can compete. But the reality is that you're only going to get your super 2, maybe 3 times a match for if you got your orb game going on. But the rest of the time, you're relying on your mobility, you're relying on your melee, your grenade, and the perks in your class. And I think that we see that Night Stalker makes up for Sunbreaker's OP super in all the other ways. Yeah, you might get a kill on me when you pop the super, but if I can turn that into 4 kills when you're not in super, I think I almost prefer that.
Yeah, I mean, there's perks that are active at all times. Like, that's tough to think about because we can't tell, and with 2.0 brings a lot of new indicators, which is awesome. We know when perks proc on guns. We know when pulse is active on a Stormcaller, which is all really cool. But there's so many things that are going on constantly, and a lot of the other subclasses, including Stormcaller and Night Stalker, have awesome perks that are constantly at work, which is just really fun and makes them great. But just everyone chill. There's a lot to learn. The meta's not going to develop itself in a week, no matter how confident people are. Just keep experimenting and try different builds, try new things. There's so much stuff. So, I mean, it's a long year ahead of us, guys. There's a lot to experience. This is going to be fun. Don't worry.
This is something we do every week. We ask you on Twitter, what do you want to hear us talk about? This has been an especially exciting week. You all had a lot to talk about. Me, Bones, and Birds are going to take our time and try and answer the questions we don't answer on the air via Twitter. But we have 2.
We keep forgetting that Birds tweets now. It's really weird.
Yeah, I've done it multiple times. No big deal.
So we got 2. One is from a good friend of ours, JC Jesse from the Dads.
Shout out to Dads.
Hi, Jesse. He asks, to be competitive, is it more important to use what you're comfortable with or to go with the meta?
Well, it's an interesting time to ask that question. I mean, we're sort of just talking about this. The reality is that we haven't really nailed down the metagame yet. That's going to take a while. There's a lot of exotics that, we haven't heard any of our friends get yet. We definitely haven't got to try them ourselves. Most of us are still unlocking our classes, and if we have, we've just unlocked the first one. We're not quite at the point where we know what the meta is, but that doesn't mean that it's not there, because the meta is more than just what guns you pick or what subclass you run. It's all of the different things that are in the game that interact together that help us make sort of larger, bigger picture strategic decisions. And those apply all the time, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to play with something comfortable for you because being comfortable will allow you to succeed. But I think it's important that we do stay within the meta. So use something you're comfortable with that you know is good. And right now, there's no clear answer to that. I can't tell you which gun to go buy with your legendary marks, but eventually we will, and we'll be able to say, look, this kind of gun works, or at least this archetype of this weapon class does work. So there's going to be a little bit of a guideline. I think we on Crucible Radio are always going to say respect the meta, and year 1 that was a little tougher to say because that means play with these 3 guns, but in year 2 you're still going to have to respect the meta, and there's going to be more choices within that, which is cool. but just make sure, it's stubborn to say, well, this gun is fun, or I like the looks of it, so I'm going to use it in the Crucible. If you're just having fun, that's great. There's definitely guns I use for fun, but if you're just trying to succeed and you really want to work on your KD and get that win for your team, make sure you're respecting the meta.
There are more choices than ever. I think really what playing within the meta means isn't that you're just following a cookie cutter layout that everyone else is. It's about making smart choices, and a lot of those are situational. If you're in Rumble, then pulling out a sniper it's a tough choice to make. If you are absolutely the best with a sniper in the world, then you can make it work. But the reality is that if you want to win the match and you're playing against people who are at your skill level, a good choice is to use a shotgun. It comes down to picking your perks. If you're a Night Stalker, you're probably not going to want to use that Predator perk in your last column. Not because it's bad, but because Keen Scout and Shade Step are both so useful. It's hard to ignore them. Which one that you pick, well, that's a choice for you to make, and you might choose different things for different scenarios, trials versus control. But you really have to identify these places where you need to make a choice and really think about what choice you go with. I think there's a lot of right answers out there, and there aren't as many universal answers as they were before. But if you have teams relying on you, when Trials comes back and you've got two people who really need you to play at your best, you do have to be aware of, what's the accepted wisdom? What works for me? What are the best players doing? Does that match with my style? And at least be thinking about it and respect the meta.
Mm-hmm.
I like that there's always going to be stable parts of the meta, though. Like you said, the shotgun for Rumble, the sniper rifle from everything else. But like that goes into what you're comfortable with. Like I go into Rumble and I'm going to use a sniper rifle because I'm the most comfortable right now with a sniper rifle. You should really just go with what you are comfortable with all around. If you feel like you need to get in close and you need to use the shotgun, by all means, use it. You're with this changing meta and the way things are kind of shaping up, try new things, find something else you might be comfortable with. Like I was telling Birds, I think there's different perks in the Sunbreaker that would be good for 3s. And I think there's different perks that work better for 6s. Mm-hmm. As far as having more hammers for 6s and having more of a scorched earth policy for 3s.
I think that's a great point. I mean, comfort is huge, but there's a big difference between saying, all right, I've looked at all my options and I think this one is the best fit for me. I like this one. And saying, well, I've always used this gun and I don't know about that other gun. I mean, could I really snipe? Could I do that? You have to explore all of your options to know what's out there. And I think then once you've done the work to become decent at all of the different choices, then you can really say, well, this is what I'm comfortable with. But before you've taken that step, don't close yourself off to what's out there.
For sure. All right. Well, our second question comes from Brig L17. They want us to talk about the range nerf on snipers and its effects. Also, if you think snipers were changed besides range.
As someone who only snipes and snipes in Rumble because I want it.
Yeah.
I don't feel a lot of changes to the weapon class as a whole. I think range has been impacted. There's talks about the bullet magnetism or the scope magnetism lowered a little bit, which is okay. I think there is a little change on that level, but a good one. Nothing too drastic where suddenly there's no help or you have to be super precise like ambush cranked up to the maximum. But the range is apparent in larger maps, which I don't think is such a huge issue. I realized that I was playing Crossroads. I flew over on the man cannons. I'm standing at the heavy, and I really just wanted to pick off people from across there who are fighting back and forth. And you can't reach them with ambush. It's just not doable. They have to be unmoving, scoped on someone else for you to get the extra second and a half to line up a shot. But I did put on a long view at one point, and I could hit a couple of them. So that range really matters now, which I think is good. It makes sense. I don't know how relevant it'll be in in a lot of maps because it is pretty close quarters at the moment, but it's something to consider.
Anyone who hangs out on Crucible Playbook has seen some of the very interesting research that people have done. I'm thinking about an article by Plodigy in particular, who was a
friend of the show,
guest on our show. Yep, I'm going to go check out his interview. And I think he kind of opened our eyes that the range stat is a lot more interesting than we gave it credit for. When it comes to snipers, we kind of just assume, okay, well, range is how far you can shoot before you get to the damage drop-off. And that's true, but there's a lot more to it than that. It's not just a damage drop-off. There are these sort of mysterious concepts of accuracy and handling and aim assist, and I'm making air quotes because that is a very loaded term, and a lot of people have a lot of theories. I think what we saw in year one was that range was a min stat for sniper rifles. It didn't matter if you had the impact and the rate of fire and the stability that you liked and you had the right perks, you were good to go. And because they've changed the way range works for snipers, you really have to consider it. You have to not just say, well, am I going to be using this on very long maps where that damage drop-off comes into play, but how does this interact with my scope choice? Am I going to feel that loss of accuracy when I'm trying to go across the map or I'm shooting all the way down a lane? And it's taken really just a garbage stat that, you can try and minimize to boost everything else and really made it part of the consideration. I think the snipers that we see really ascendant in year two are going to respect that range stat a lot more than, some of the ones that we were very familiar with in year one.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would say that the range stat hasn't really affected me much because I have become more of a shorter range sniper.
Attaboy.
I've been trying my no scopes, but a few of them have been successful. Check them out on my next montage. But if I'm going for the long range, I'm gonna try and close the gap a little bit before I even go for that. I'm finding myself more of a wait for someone to turn the corner, predicting where the movement is going, being one step ahead of someone as I see them at different ranges. That's kind of working out a lot better than worrying about being far away and sniping someone.
Speaking of no-scoping, I was doing a heroic strike with my brother and our light levels weren't too great for it. The only 250 damage special he had was that 1,000-yard stare. And at one point, I see him fighting a Minotaur, just hip-firing it from 1 foot away to try to kill this Minotaur. And I'm like, is that your sniper? It was pretty great.
It turns out that they just turn into shotguns if they really do get close enough.
Don't underestimate it, I'm telling you. Those questions were really great, and I love when people have really thoughtful things that they need to discuss, because with all this content, it can be a little overwhelming, and it's good to really focus in on things like that. So thank you for those questions, and keep tweeting at us. And like Swain said, you can talk to us directly, and we love answering stuff on Twitter. Always there to help, always playing the Crucible and giving you guys advice. So thanks a lot.
Well, speaking of no-scopes, if there was a guest that we could talk to that could teach us a thing or two about no-scopes and the fine art of sniping, it would be this guest coming up right now.
But now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the musical break, where we make weird sounds with our mouths that fade out and you hear some cool music. Exhibit A.
Crucible break.
Hello, listeners. Birds here. I'm going to make this quick. Thank you so much for listening. It's been such an amazing year one, and we hope to keep on talking to you guys in year two. If you enjoy the show, give us a follow on Twitter at Crucible Radio, and subscribe to us on iTunes or on RSS. If you're on Android, there's an app called Podcast Addict. It's all free. It's the best way to get the episodes. You're going to get exclusive access to our PV episode where we dive into the PV side of the Taken King. And keep coming back. We're going to have an awesome year. All right, joining us on the show today, we have Real Crafty joining us. If you've been on like the Destiny section of Twitch, you know who he is. And I actually remember you from before I knew you were a streamer. I remember seeing your name in a Crucible match, like a control match, when I was first getting started. Just like, do you remember killing like a 0.5 guy in a control match like 4 times in a row? Because I remember it.
There's a lot of those. I get a lot of that. Hey, do you remember me? You killed me last month. It's like,
Sure.
I kill a lot of people, man.
Right. I hope you enjoyed it. 'Cause it's rough on my side. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having
Welcome.
me.
Welcome.
You're our first guest of year 2, Taken King. How are you liking it so far?
I'm having a good time with it. The PvE actually kept me entertained longer than I thought it would. I had like a full day where I just was grinding strikes, which is not normal for me. I haven't stepped into the Vanguard playlist in months.
Yep.
In a long time. So it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I think that was new for a lot of people who suddenly found themselves, excited to get into the Crucible, but then realized they wanted to do about 50 other quests. So
Exactly.
That's been weird.
Or get a sword. I still need to get a sword.
The completionist in all of us is like, there's too many quests to just jump in the Crucible.
Stuff to do.
Yeah.
Well, like with the light system where it's just like digit by digit, like they really got us hooked on a grind.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't quite there before.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Well, so what about the Crucible side of Taken King? We got Rift, we got Mayhem.
Rift is fun. Mayhem's really fun. Mayhem's one of those types where you can't really go hard on it all day. It's like I'm gonna play a few games, but then I'm tired of getting golden gunned every 2 seconds or like getting Titan smashed around every corner. But it's really fun. I like Mayhem, and Rift is really fun as well.
What class are you using for Rift?
I just play my Hunter.
Yeah.
I just go Gunslinger. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
What do you what do you think of the Night Stalker class?
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, I got Shade Step yesterday, and at first I was like, because like I Shade Stepped and got shotgunned like in the middle of it, so I thought that was kind of dumb. But then I started slaying with it. Like I was getting good with dodging around corners, and I had a pretty sweet reign of terror.
Oh yeah,
just dodging. It looked pretty cool too. Stream was definitely having it.
Well, like it's kind of not unlike Blink in the sense that it just you use it to mess with people. But like, are you using Shade Step as an aggressive move, or are you sort of defensive?
No, not at all. It's defensive 100%. Because like there's still that window because you don't have quick draw. So if you Shade Step into someone, they're probably gonna blast you before you can even pull your gun out. I will say that the nades on Night Stalker are terrible for PvP. They are the worst nades.
I think I just saw my first kill happen with the Void Wall, and I was like, wow.
It makes you double take.
It's all right, but like you got to have those people in Crucible that are standing in your nades, which is just not. Some people are, doing it.
Sure.
But usually they're like, oh, I'm taking damage, it better jump. And that's pretty much it.
I personally think they like softened all of the grenades, so it's kind of like there's no popular choice.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, fire bolts aren't as bad. They nerfed Dark Bolt. But I just think that Night Stalkers, like, they're not like a Slayer kind of class, but like they could have given us, a nade that at least explodes or something.
Right. Not
like
just like, could you stand still for a
Dude, yeah,
second?
we have PvE nades, like, through and through.
Well, what about the stink cloud?
I like it. I like that a lot because it makes their radar go away. They get very confused. So I am a fan of the smoke nade with the dot on it.
Yeah.
Or the toxins.
That seems to be the standout perk for it.
Like if you can couple that with your nade, like if you throw your void wall down and then try and like get someone stuck in your smoke, then your nade's all right, but it still is not reliable.
So, have you gotten any good drops so far?
Not really. I got the IS Luna, which is actually pretty good. The roll I got, it's got like almost max stability, which is really nice.
Now, which one is that?
It's I guess it translates to Little Hawk Moon, so it looks exactly like the Hawk Moon, but it's red. Like has some red on it. So in my stream, everyone's always asking if that's the Year 2 Hawk Moon,
Interesting.
but it's not.
Where'd you get the red?
Yeah, they're like, what is this? Yeah, I got it from a Crucible drop, and I like it a lot, actually. Not so much in PvP, but it's really good in PvE.
How do you feel about the world we're in, again, where you don't get to roll your perfect weapon for everything you get, and you kind of have to get lucky? How is that, like, tough to adjust to?
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I love that, because then you don't have every dude running around with the most overpowered shotgun that like snipes you from orbit. Like I hate when I'm flying into a Crucible game and I get shotgunned before it even lands. Like I'm stoked on that. Oh, I think it's a good change.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I feel like in order to make that work, Bungie kind of had to do two things. They had to reduce the effect of a lot of the perks, so like the ones you do get, even the really good ones, aren't game-breakingly good.
Yeah.
But they also had to make the perks kind of better overall. I don't know if I believe it yet, but like I think they might have gotten rid of a couple of the really terrible ones, or at least boosted them up a bit, like Mulligan, where it's like, okay, great, what am I supposed to do with this?
Dude, I've had Mulligan on my sniper for so long because I bought the Crucible sniper in the Dark Below. So
Yeah.
I've had Mulligan for days.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
That was that Dark Below LDR, right?
It was the longbow synthesis. That's my baby.
For regular Crucible, are you still rolling with that longbow?
No, because after they tampered with sniping, I was like, all right, maybe they nerfed all the aim assist on the older snipers, so that people would want to switch to the new ones. But I got the 1,000-yard stare, and it did not really feel different at all. But I'm still just rolling with 1,000-yard.
Gotcha.
Figure I might as well get used to it because I'm gonna have to use it in trials anyways.
Yep.
So explain that a little bit more. You're a known sniper, so they've kind of tweaked it a little bit in the Taken King. What have you noticed differently with 2.0?
So I'm a very aggressive sniper. Like I will rush in with my sniper and like try to quick scope and do all that. But since they nerfed the aim assist, it's a lot harder to drag scope. So basically, it forces me to not be as aggressive and kind of like hard scope like a hallway. Or like a corner or a doorway, which I'm not a huge fan of that. Like that's really boring for me.
Yeah.
I've always liked just going in with my sniper and like seeing what I can hit. And then I coupled that with my last word, and they toned that one down as well. I mean, it's not as good, but it's still good. But I just I think that with the new meta and all the pulse rifles running around, it's already hard enough to snipe when you're getting hit by a pulse rifle. I don't know if you guys noticed,
A little bit.
but the flinch is insane.
Yeah.
So if coupled with that and the aim assist change, it's like it's tough for snipers now.
Yeah.
Our year one snipers aren't going to cut it anymore, and sort of what's become important as snipers changed a bit with the sort of the changes to the mechanics of it. I mean, what are you looking for in a sniper? What's a perfect sniper for you?
I don't even know if hidden hand's still a perk, but I'm debating on like trying to get a sniper that has hidden hand on it just so I can get that aim assist back.
Yep.
And have my playstyle back. I know a lot of people look down on aim assist or whatever, but that's just like the way I played. Like it did rely somewhat on aim assist, but it was a lot more fun. And like I didn't really see people, too many people running around like doing backflips and no scoping people because of aim assist,
Right.
But other than that, ammo perks and a good scope, really, just because that's another problem with snipers. And it started off when they nerfed special ammo, but I find myself ammo starved a lot, especially in 6v6.
Yeah. Well, I can convince you to keep grinding because I actually did get 1,000-yard stare with hidden hand. So
Did you?
it does exist. And I'm tempted to level that one up a little bit.
Yeah, do it and test it out. I just, I don't know, because there's a noticeable difference with the snipers, but there was nothing in the patch notes about it, so I don't know if it was like intentional or not. Or what the deal is, but I wish it would go back to how it was.
Let's talk about scopes. So year one, I mean, there's sort of the standouts everyone knows: ambush, short gaze, the SLR 10 long view. I mean, out of those, what did you like, and what have you tried in year two that you still enjoy?
Ambush was my baby. That's all I used on any sniper, and it just handled really well. Like I could land some pretty ridiculous drag scopes with an ambush scope. But my 1,000-yard stare has short gaze on it, just because I'm trying to bump up that aim assist a little bit, like I was talking about.
Yep.
But it's still not quite there. I would much prefer my ambush over the short gaze.
There's like the new novelty kind of scopes with the highlight
Yeah.
targets and all that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hate those.
Yeah.
But my buddy got one, and it's like a scout rifle scope or something like that, like almost iron sights.
The big holographic one is crazy. I have that on a sniper where it's like it's not really a scope; it's just like a big screen on the front.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
It's kind
Which
of
is
jarring.
I don't know, man. Like the No Land Beyond was my gun for a while. I love that gun. So I feel like it might be a little similar to that. I'll have to try one out.
Well, so I came into this interview wanting to ask you about No Land Beyond because that's a gun that I love, and like I'm terrible with it, but that makes it all the more satisfying when you finally start landing kills with it.
Yeah.
So we know that there were a couple changes to the No Land Beyond in 2.0. Have you noticed a change sort of in how it feels?
Kind of. I guess it's kind of easier to hit headshots with it now. It doesn't take up as much as your screen, but it really doesn't feel that different to me, honestly.
Sure.
So it's not suddenly going to be like everyone can use this gun. It's still that unique novelty weapon.
It's still the skill gun, yeah.
Give me some advice, man. I don't like. I'm starting to get the hang of No Land Beyond, but what am I doing wrong? I mean, how do I start landing those headshots with it?
Dude, I don't know. After the change, man, everything about my playstyle like kind of got owned by Bungie a little bit. So I don't know. I'm still trying to adapt with my snipes because it's so different now. Like I said, I used to drag scope, and now basically you have to like hard scope a corner and wait for someone to walk into it. I mean, at least until I readjust my muscle memory and get used to the game now. Like that's where I'm at. But I'm a huge drag scoper. That's how I shoot.
So I mean, so talk about that. Like I remember like watching you, and when you are scoping the corner, you're not scoping sort of where they're going to walk out on the corner. You're a little bit farther off, so you can sort of pull towards them. I mean, explain that mechanic for people who aren't familiar with it.
And so basically, the way it was, aim assist would slow your aim, like as you were like swiping over their head. So you would swipe and you would pull the trigger as you were like getting close, because your aim would slow down on their head. But now it's the aim assist is less, so it's a lot easier to miss a shot. Like I can still drag scope, but not as consistently, which really sucks. I don't know. That's just I've never really sniped in any other game, and that's just how I started sniping on this game, and I liked it a lot. I got pretty good.
Certainly a lot of practice. I mean, have you been a sniper in Destiny since day one?
No, actually, I have more fusion rifle kills than I have sniper kills. I have like 45,000 fusion kills. Wow. Maybe more.
Have you tried that since 2.0?
Yeah. I don't know. They're not as good. The range is just not there.
Have you tried any of the new fusion rifles? Have you gotten any of those to drop?
Yeah, but like with the shotguns, because I feel like shotguns are kind of unchanged. Like I feel a little bit of a difference, but I'm still getting owned from super far away.
Yep.
And with a fusion rifle, like yeah, I can do that too, because there is more range than a shotgun, but I have that charge time, so they're not as viable. They still are if you're playing corners and all that, but I don't see myself going back to a fusion rifle setup. I'm gonna stick it out with the snipes.
Well, with good changes and bad changes, where do you kind of see the metagame going? It's tough to tell right now because it's everyone trying out new stuff, but what do you think is going to kind of rise to the forefront in 2 or 3 months from now?
I'm thinking Bad Juju and Red Death are pretty good. I don't know much about the new guns that are coming out, so I can't really comment on that. But I have a feeling that since the Messenger was so ridiculous, I have a feeling that in Trials, in the new Trials that's going to come out, they're probably going to have something similar. And I feel like a lot of people are probably going to use that pulse rifle. Because the Messenger is so overpowered right now, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
There's 2 taps all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything else that can get that. So, because like it's right. It's a 2 headshot burst. I mean, are you going to be using pulse rifles for your primary, or are you going to try and make the hand cannons work? Or I mean, what are you thinking?
I'm honestly probably going to stick it out with my last word. Like I said, with my playstyle, I like to go in with my snipes, and then if it doesn't work out, I've got my last word, and that I can just hip fire that.
There was like an accepted wisdom with the last word for these are the perks you run, this is the setup, and here's how you use it. And as far as I can tell, I mean, all of that, maybe not all of it, but a lot of that has changed. I mean, how is it different, the way you're using last word?
So before the patch even, because the last word is a hip fire gun through and through. That's why there's like a hip fire perk on it and all of that. I feel like in year 2, I was actually testing this. I was ADSing my last word and just shooting people from across the map. Like it owns when you ADS it. But if you hip fire it, like the range feels halved,
Yeah.
and then even like at that half range, like half your shots don't register. It's so inaccurate from as like a hip fire gun, which is like I feel like it should be reversed. Because hip firing is not really, like, it's not hard to do, but it's a lot easier than, or a lot harder than ADSing.
Right. So you notice you're still able to get those longer shots when you're ADSing with the last word?
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. I've killed people from a crazy range. It doesn't make sense.
I was getting pretty whiny about that earlier this week when I started that chaperone quest, but I'm just like, this is not behaving like I wanted to.
Yeah, it went from being like that really reliable close range, like someone's blinking at you with the shotgun, so you blast them.
Yeah.
To like I don't know, it's better when you ADS it now, which just doesn't make any sense to me.
So I have to ask, are you still running aggressive ballistics on the last word, or have you changed it up?
Nope, gotta go soft.
Yep.
Because someone was saying that you can't. It's not possible to get that 3-shot body shot anymore anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes aggressive pointless. Because that was like the whole point, really. You could just 3-shot with a hip fire.
I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. So, I mean, it's still early days, and we're still sort of figuring out, where the competitive side of Destiny is going in the Taken King. I mean, there's still sweaties. We're going to see trials come back. But sort of bigger picture, do you think Destiny has a future as an esport?
And that's a tough one. I would say back when Thorn was reigning supreme over the Crucible, I would say absolutely not. But the game's different now. I think that if with the right balancing, it could go there. But I don't think 6v6 would be
Just a little too crazy.
a thing.
I'm thinking more like 4s.
I think 4s or 5s, probably 4s. But the new maps are kind of iffy for me as well. I'm not really sure how I feel about them. They don't seem balanced.
I mean, it feels like, if anything, they wanted to try and make them all kind of feel like Trials maps. Like, they're much more symmetrical. There's not a huge advantage on one side or the other. I mean, has that been your experience, or are you seeing something different?
Ish. In my experience, on most of the new maps, like I can be, anywhere on the map, there's like 4 or 5 angles where I can just get sniped from, and that's like, that's not good.
Yeah, a lot of open territory.
Yeah, there shouldn't be like, and it's not even about like I get if you're running out in the open, yeah, you should definitely get sniped from all angles, but
Yep.
There's a lot of spots where like you'll walk out of a doorway and they're like you have 3 dudes like on different sides of the map shooting at you.
Yeah,
it's like I just feel like there's not enough cover, or
Need more corners.
yeah, we need more something. I'm not really sure what it is, but like on Frontier, that map, dude, you can get shot from anywhere, like at all times.
Yeah, those rocks are scary.
Same with Bannerfall, I think too. Bannerfall's the same way. And, like, don't even get me started on Memento. I do not like that map at all. It's the worst.
Well, what's funny is they really went vertical with a lot of maps, and that's actually much harder to adjust to in Destiny, simply because your reticle doesn't move up as fast. Like, it's very
Exactly.
easy to look left and right, but if someone's jumping above you, you feel like you're like your weapon's too heavy to lift up. And now that
Agreed,
these
yeah.
maps are 3 stories tall, like Memento, you kind of gotta, you're just kind of on a swivel and looking up and down like crazy, hurting your neck.
Yeah, it's either like roll with the shotgun on those maps, or like I said, the way that I feel like I have to play now, post up somewhere with the sniper. Which I don't know. I think it should be. I think any playstyle should be viable. And I feel like a lot of the new maps punish you for sniping.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So a lot of people are gonna want to, who haven't checked you out, are gonna want to check you out after this interview. What would you say that you bring to the table when it comes to your streaming? Like, what are they looking for when you on stream?
I have a lot of awesome followers, and we pretty much just kick it. Like, we just play PvP. I try to land some snipes, and my chat is super awesome. It's super funny, guys. So we're just laughing the whole time. And then when Trials comes back, I do help the community out. Like on Sundays, I would take people to the lighthouse that have never ever been to the lighthouse.
Nice.
And I've got one sub day, but pretty much PvP is what you're gonna find. Maybe, I don't know. I'm turning into a raid god apparently.
Don't say
no
anything.
spoilers.
I was dying at work today, just wanting to play, and so I started browsing the database like some boring nerd. And there's a high impact pulse, like the messenger archetype, which looks like a raid drop. So I'm gonna be keeping my eye out because that thing might wreck if that's what's good right now. So guess we got to start raiding and stuff again.
Yeah. It's fun though. It's a good raid. You'll like it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted to go back to something. So you say you don't like Memento, and I feel like when Bungie was thinking Memento, they're like, all right, we're going to build the perfect sniper map. We're going to have a huge sniping lane from A to B, or from A to C, and there's going to be vertical spots where you can get up and peek out, and we're going to have a big sniping, open area and like little hidey holes going across B. At first glance, it seems like it is a sniper map, but what about it doesn't work for you?
The flow is awful on the map. There's people coming from the sky, people like poking out of like little gopher holes or something. And that little middle area is one gigantic head glitch. Like if you snipe there, it's a dude head glitching you every time, 100%. And like, which is cool. I mean, if you want a head glitch, by all means, but I don't know. It just seems like shotguns are a much better choice on that map because you really only get that one spot, and like I said, like there's not a lot of room to run around with the sniper and like consistently land shots, so you're kind of confined to that one area where you're hard scoping down an alley. Like I said, at least for me, that's not as fun.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite map you're liking so far, or are they all just kind of meh?
The Anomaly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That is my favorite map, hands down. But as far as the new maps, Drifter is pretty good. I like Drifter, and I'm not a huge fan of the Dreadnought one. I would have to say Drifter is probably my favorite new one.
Nice.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Drifter is good.
Yeah. Anything else you really want to preach on?
No, I just wish Bungie would fix the snipers. Honestly, I want that. I just want so badly for them to be like, "Yo,
We're sorry.
we made a mistake. we're
Issue
changing
an
it
apology.
back." I just feel like with the pulse rifles and the auto rifles and the flinch, it's already hard enough to land snipes. I don't think they should have touched them.
All right, Bungie, you're on notice.
I'm watching you.
But I will say I'm glad Final Round is gone. Commissioner Crafty's gonna have to find another department. We'll find something.
All right. Well, if people want to check you out, where can they find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/realcrafty. I've also got a YouTube, which is Real Crafty as well. There are no videos up yet, but I have a montage on the way, which should be really cool. You guys can also check me out on Twitter at Real Crafty. Check me out.
Cool, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks so much for having me, you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, get back to that strike grinding.
Yo, finish the raid.
No spoilers.
All right, no spoilers. We're about to do it.
I would never.
Alright, he's critical. I need a Red Bull IV and some legendary mark stat. Swain's overdosed on hype. This is Oryx's fault.
Damn it, Swain. I knew all this grinding was too much. You got too close to light level 300, and now you've crashed like the Icarus perk on your scout rifle.
Dr. Bones, we need to get him into surgery immediately, or he could be taken forever.
Don't worry, Dr. Birds. I got this. I am the question and the answer.
I'm sorry, is that like a Stormcaller thing?
Clear!
Did it work?
Swain, speak to me, buddy. Your might is still in your vault, right where you left it. Everything's fine.
Back off, fellas. Titans never die.
Wow. Sunbreakers really have gotten cocky. We should have left you dead.
Follow us on Twitter at Crucible Radio and on iTunes. And check us out on PlanetDestiny.com/Crucible Radio.
I'm a genius. I've done it.
Where's my hammer?